Hey, Renata.
I'm speaking on mute. Hello.
Hello. Gonna make
Like
you
your
the host
background.
now.
So I will have to admit everybody, right? How is it
Yes,
working?
we're using the waiting room. And does it show that it's recording up on your screen? Because I think I have it set to automatically record.
Yeah, so see waiting room. So I have to keep admitting people, and then how can I make them co-host?
If you go to their name on the right and then to the more button, that'll add as co-host.
Okay.
Hey, Jeanette, how are you? Oh, you're on mute.
I just switched, from professional computer to personal computer, and I have to switch my mindset.
Absolutely.
And I have my airplanes here, so hopefully when I'm talking, you're not going to be passing by.
Perfect. Cool. Well, I think you're good to go. I'll hang out just to make sure we get the recording. But yeah, I'll go on mute and leave it to you. Looking forward to this. It's gonna be a fun one.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again for your help, Taylor.
Yeah, of course. Go Blue.
Thank you for the help. If I mute all, am I going to mute the host too?
Say it again.
If I mute all, am I going to mute the host too?
We can test it. Let in, so you see the ability, you see the waiting room function right now?
Yes.
Okay, so then you can admit people, and then but it looks like I also have the ability to admit people on my end.
Yeah, I put you as co-host.
So at a certain point, do you want to switch over and let it, so you can focus? Like if people come in late, do you want to, I can then take over letting people in the room?
Okay.
Once you start talking. Hey, Tammy.
Hey there.
Hey, Jeanette, how are you?
Good, nice to see your face.
Yeah, I think the last time I talked to you, I was on the phone in my car. So
yeah,
stationary now.
No worries. I know it's been a while, but glad to be
Hi,
here.
everyone. Linda. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, but we can't see you.
I can see you.
You can see me. You can hear me. So let me put my AirPod in to see if this is. Is this one better? Is it better now?
I can hear you.
Sound quality?
It's like
okay.
Yeah.
And can you see my slide?
No.
No, yeah.
No? How do I do that?
So when you hover over the bottom, there's a share screen button.
Okay, so let me.
And so you can either share that specific app or program so that you can also see us at the same time versus sharing your entire screen.
Okay, so I think I lost the. Okay, so here, so share, screen share, advanced sharing option?
So
no, okay, no.
Go to the bottom, there's a green button that says share screen. Yep.
Yeah. Well, just say one participant can share.
Oh yeah, just hit that button. You don't need to choose the option there.
And
then you should be given a prompt to share any.
No. Sharing option.
So if you just click on the button, don't click on the arrow. Just click on the bigger
Yeah,
button.
okay, now I can do it. Yeah,
Got it. There you go.
okay,
There you go.
perfect. Okay, very cool.
I think that we still don't have your video on, Linda.
Hi, Renata. It's Alex.
Hi.
I think the problem was my end. I'm getting a new phone yesterday on our call, or yesterday, the day before.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I spoke to
apologize.
someone right after you and worked. So
My bad. My bad. It was my phone. I'm getting a new phone.
Hey, Alex, I wanted to say hi. It's Jeanette. You and I have been emailing.
Hi, Jeanette. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Good.
Are you based in Palo Alto or Menlo Park?
I'm in San Jose.
Okay, San Jose. I'm in Mountain View.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I used to be in Mountain View every day, like up until very recently.
I'm in San Jose too.
Hi, William.
How you doing there? All right, Jeanette. Nice to see you again.
You too. Renata, I'm checking just to make sure I'm not getting any emails with people asking for the Zoom link. I just got a couple earlier today, so I'm monitoring that.
okay. Yeah, so I'll just give people a few more minutes. I think a lot of people are joining. So maybe 2 minutes and we can start.
Yeah, how many do we have right now?
We have
21.
20 people.
20, okay.
Yeah, I
We
know
have
the
like
link, depending on when they registered, the link might be in different places. So I don't know if we want to allow maybe like, you know, like another minute for.
Couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah.
Yep.
I am still getting a couple emails, Renata, for the Zoom link.
Okay. So I'll give another minute or so. We have close to 30 people now. Okay. Jeanette, were you able to send out the emails? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Renata Gomide. I'm part of the board of the Alumni Club of the Silicon Valley. So this event is being organized by the Bay Area Clubs, Silicon Valley, and the San Francisco Alumni Club. Very happy to have you all here. I think that we have been trying to adjust to the new times and organizing different type of events now that we can't meet in person. So we actually have a survey in the chat window. So after this event is over, if you could spend some time filling the survey, giving some of your perspective on what type of events you'd like to see, because we want to make sure that we keep the community engaged during this time too. Jeanette, do you have any words for the team? Jeanette is our president for the Silicon Valley Alumni Club.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Renata said, we're really excited to be able to figure out great and creative ways to bring events to our alumni community. We're also always looking for different ideas and submissions for different types of content. So if you received this via our newsletter or any of our social channels, feel free to reach out as well beyond the survey and let us know. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. So I think that with that, I'll just introduce Linda. So Linda has actually been involved in the board of the Alumni Club for many years, and she's coming back to today as a presenter. So she's going to be talking about establishing your brand and enhancing your career in 2020. Very different year. So Linda drives the go-to-market strategy and the execution for the AWS storage portfolio. And prior to joining AWS, Linda held various positions at Hitachi Vantara, including VP Solutions and Cloud Services Marketing and VP of Product Marketing. So she also had some positions ranging from strategic planning, BD, and pricing at Dell. And she has an MBA from the University of Michigan Broad School of Business. And she's also co-author of Cloud Storage for Dummies. So Linda, to you.
Thank you, Renata. Everyone, thank you for taking the time. So, very special year as we all have been experiencing. So I'll spend the next about half an hour to really share my experience. I recently had a job change. So wanted just to show you why did I make the career move and how did that happen? Some of the learnings from the search process. And also just in general, how do we, even for those who want to continue to stay in the same company, but how would you advance in your career, right? So just a pretty casual conversation, and I'll save some time in the end for any questions, depending on where you want to focus on. So first of all, I've been with Hitachi Vantara for roughly 10 years. So that was a pretty long time. I joined this company. It was a great company at the time. So I worked my way through from an individual contributor to a VP level position in marketing. So it was a really great ride. The reason I started looking in about a year ago was one of the talk tracks I was going to share with you was you want to, whenever when you stay at a position or a company for an extended period of time and also your career, sometimes you lose that sense of where the industry is going, right? So it's a comfort zone. So it was a comfortable place for me that I already know everyone. I established my brand. I know how this company works inside out. But then when I look around where the industry is going, so the industry, we work in IT, everything's moving to the cloud. So the traditional business that Hitachi Vantara was in the decline, and I see that coming. And so that was the reason that really prompted me to start thinking you want to follow where the puck is going, right? So that's really where, I think I'm going to share one of the slides here is when you work in the industry and work at a company that's being challenged by digitization, we've all seen the up and down in the different ways, like software is, we don't know that. I really think it's pretty important for us to always be proactive, thinking about what's ahead of you rather than being comfortable with where you are. You really don't. And then now when I look back, and I was just grateful for, a year ago, I made a decision that I did it, really invested in local jobs seriously before, when I see the tide is coming at me. So be proactive is really, really important. In particular, if you're mid-career, it takes longer for you to land a new role. It's pretty, unlike, if you're, fresh graduate, I think there's just more opportunities and people are more open to take on like new people at a certain level. When you're mid-career, the job opportunities really become more selective, and also the people will evaluate you based on your prior experience. It just takes a long time for you to land somewhere you really like. So just be prepared and be proactive. The other thing that's pretty important is even if you're happy where you are, even you think the company is doing well, you're going to stay there for the next number of years, still, it really is important to always invest in building a personal network, really meet people. People networking is critical, and don't just, think about it when you are under pressure to move. You do it when you're actually, when you're happy and in the right place. And also, I want to share a little bit around, hey, when you start to look for jobs, it's pretty important, like, to let people, well, first of all, people you trust. When I work I can't just be telling people in my company that I'm looking, right? So just people you trust, everybody knows that you're looking for jobs and what kind of jobs you're looking for. So just make sure that you get the words out so people know, like, you are available, for opportunities. So that's pretty important. I think that's really my first tip, for today is be proactive. And when I look back, and I was just happy that I made that decision, because had I stayed, I just felt like when I see where the company was going, and it just turned out to all be true. So just to be proactive. So that's one. But how did I actually land my job at AWS? I wanted to share really my experience. I worked at Hitachi Vantara for 10 years. So when people look at my resume, when they see Hitachi, they see that as a traditional Japanese-ish kind of a company. So people started to view like my profile as this is someone who spent 10 years in a slow-moving Japanese kind of company. So I realized I lost a lot of the competitive edge on my resume, because I started to target certain opportunities in the fast-growing industry. Some of the really like well-known startup companies, and the feedback I've been getting from the recruiter, they really felt like my resume just strike people as someone who's not, despite the fact your career is progressing in this company, the company was actually in a way holding me back in terms of its profile. So the way to turn that around was I actually made a decision, even when I was working at Hitachi, to really take on more strategic projects and opportunities that's cloud-based, right? Rather than, rather than focus on the core business, which might be more profitable, you have more people, I made a decision to pivot towards cloud, which was emerging and at a time, and also was a very small team and all of that. But I made a decision that, you know what, this is somewhere I need to go. So what really helped evolve myself to respin my resume from a traditional storage infrastructure person to being this cloud, emerging, cloud technology, services, all of that. Really putting that on my resume was a big help because people understand you're in the fast-moving part of a kind of a large organization that give you more credibility. That definitely gives me much more credibility when I interview for really some of the more modern kind of opportunities. So I think the way to really, build your career, and it's really, one of the the tips that I learned early on from one of my mentors was you pick a city, you pick an industry, make yourself known. You want to become this known commodity, in the circle. So when people talk about, hey, so-and-so, I have this opportunity in certain kind, and people will remember so-and-so, oh, I came across, so-and-so in this industry event, or some association where, she volunteered. So you want to really build that connection early on so more people get to know you. The other very important tool is, I don't know, depending on your role, for me, I work in marketing. So in marketing, we produce a lot, right? So write your personal blog. So people follow you, you build a following, and people connect with you. So you become this known commodity on LinkedIn. And then when recruiters try to search for talent, and your name will come up. So those are the kind of things you really want to build over time. The other thing that's pretty important is your LinkedIn profile is it's the real estate that you have. It's probably the most important. It's like your personal, really your personal ad, right? So I really also learned to beef up the LinkedIn profile, not only the actual what you've done, but also even the visual. You want to make sure you want to showcase your best quality in that limited real estate that you have. So what I was showing here was, I'm in marketing, I want to target a senior level position. One of the criteria was they want to see someone who is comfortable in front of a huge audience. So I picked a photo of me apparently presenting on stage. So they know, oh, this individual had, stage, experience presenting. And then, they see this international, because I was, looking for roles, for marketing, it's a lot of the global, what do you understand, not only the US market, but, China really was one of the pretty important market for many organizations I target. So you want to show you definitely had a lot of a customer facing experience presenting to a large crowd, and you understand different culture, and that will make me more marketable. So I really selected that photo on purpose to really showcase that. So don't let it just be leave it empty or some personal photo. I actually encourage you to really showcase that, when people see it, they know. I think the picture can really say a lot of things already about me. So I think that's pretty important. I also see others, have, when they publish certain things, I think they include short videos and things, just to anything that you can do to make your LinkedIn profile stand out is very, very important. So that's really the second tip. It's really make yourself known, and in the industry, get to know the right people. Some industry have thought leaders, and try to get connected with them and go to the same event with them and gradually join their inner circle. I think those are some of the ways, at least for me, has proven very, very useful. So as an example, I work in marketing. So I deal with industry analysts, like IDC or Gartner. Those are the technology-based industry analysts. So in building those personal relationships over time, and it's like the same community, and you share a lot of opportunities, and you share friends. So it's a very good way to very quickly get into broaden your personal network. That's just something that for you to consider. I'll go back to how I managed to land the job at AWS. Here I listed here industry events. I owe my this job opportunity to industry events. So what happened was just now I mentioned I was trying to target cloud and service-based company for my next job. So I pivoted my career towards more of I was leading the cloud service team at Hitachi at the time. So as a partner of AWS, I attended the AWS event, what they call re:Invent. Don't know if you guys work in IT, it's like the Super Bowl of IT, like 50,000 people in Vegas, all of that. So it was this massive event I went to. And when you go to an event, you get to know a lot of people. And also the fact you're there, I learned so much about the company because it was one of the target company of mine. So I genuinely really felt really connected with the company, with the culture, with the movement, with the innovation, all of that. So I felt very passionate about it. The week after re:Invent was a Gartner event, which took place in the same venue as re:Invent, but it was much smaller in scale. So I went back to Vegas, went to that Gartner event. Just so happened I was manning the booth for Hitachi, and then there's another booth from AWS, and they actually attended the event just next to me. So I just stopped by and started to chat. I said, congratulations, guys, for a very successful event you guys had, last week. And I just shared how much I learned, how much I enjoyed, and really, the sincere interest in this company. And because I was just so passionate about it, the guy literally looked at me and said, hey, what do you do at Hitachi? It seems to be really into all of this. So he realized, I was kind of my credential. He said, I think, you're the kind of person who might be good for AWS, and I happen to know there's this opportunity. So that's how I got that lead, not through recruiter, not through any of the career searching website. It's the people that you meet at industry events. And then the position, they looked for a long time. It was not even posted. So in certain company, I don't know how, every company does it differently. Not all the opportunities were actually posted or made public. So if I didn't go if I didn't go, and I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't even know. So that's what happened. And so that's really the kind of thing I really want to recommend to you is if you want to really search for different opportunities, it's pretty important you to be involved. I don't know when this COVID situation is going to be over. So industry events might not be possible this year, but certainly I think one of those days it will open up, right? So just the philosophy here is really to meet people. I think it's pretty important that opportunities come across. It's really when you have the personal, you have the personal connection. So that's really how I got the opportunity, this decision I made from why I wanted to look for a job, even when things were seemingly going well. How it was really, try to pivot myself, my resume, build my resume towards where I need to be. And then being actively involved in industry events, one after another. And then eventually those face-to-face connection or event opportunity led me to this opportunity, which I was able to seize. So that was really how I got my job here at AWS. So I think we covered this. One of the other thing I like to chat with all of you guys was we every year, I'm sure everybody does this, we build a plan for like strategy plan or marketing plan or product plan. We build plan every year at the beginning of every year. The one thing we don't do is build a people plan. What do we mean by build a people plan? It's every year you want to think about who are the 2 or 3 people, individual, who will be important for me in my career. They could be internal, they could be external, but it's pretty important for you to think about it every year and do it methodically. So I started doing this when I attended one of the events by Keith Ferrazzi. If you guys haven't followed him, and he's one of my favorite, and he's just been an inspiration, like the way he think about building that human capital. Like you probably have heard about, his book or read the book, is Who's Got Your Back, right? Never Eat Alone. So those are some of the very, useful career, like self-improvement, career planning books that I recommend if you haven't done it. So I went to one of his executive training webinar meeting. Actually, he handed out this people plan template, right? Literally, it's pretty simple. Like in 2020, let's say in 2020, who are the 2 or 3 people you currently don't know them well, and you think they're important for your career advancement, your current position, your current company, or from sorry, my work. So in your current position, or maybe it's important for your next role. You really want to think about it methodically. If you don't do it, you won't get it done, because if you don't put the effort into methodically managing it, time will just go by. Think about this, you work at a company for 5 years. If every year you have your people plan executed, you got 2 or 3 really, people who can help you advance in your career. In 5 years, you got, 10, 15 people on your side. The people tend to be, the way I look at those people that I select were people who would help me, guide me through, navigate around in the career. When I try to target a next position, who are in the decision-making circle. You want to understand all of that, and you try to build a relationship proactively. The way to do it is you can work with your manager, like see, hey, I want to get more exposure with the engineering team, as an example, because they will be important when I move, when I want to move to my next role, and seek projects that give you the opportunity to work with the engineering leader that will really, see you in action, to really, you can really try to showcase your capability, right? So we tend to say, like, it's not so much what you know, it's who you know. I actually think it's not who you know, it's who knows that you know. You want to make sure, like, for all the skill that you have, the people who matter in your career advancement knows, like, what you know. That's really important, and I really strongly recommend it. If nothing else, from today's discussion, I would really strongly encourage you to start thinking about a people plan and building a people plan and executing on a people plan. Just 2 or 3 important individuals that will be useful in your career advancement, short-term or long-term, and start doing it every single year. Whenever it's time for you to build your work plan, think about, you know what, I need to do this for myself. Build a people plan for yourself. The other thing, I like to really share is throughout my career, I've always felt like I am the kind of individual, I like to think about what's my weakness, how can I do better, right? So if I always seek feedback, ignore the part of always looking for, she did this is good. However, she needs to round out her edges. She needs to be more communicative. So I always focus on the things I don't do well and try to fix them, which was okay. I think most people do that. One of the learning I've had later on in my career was it's really what you're good at that can really help you to be where you need to be. I think I'm just using this Messi is this great soccer player. He only does all his most exciting magical goals. He did it with the left foot, right? Because this is the kind of thing is you need to ask yourself, what's your left foot? What's your superpower? That's something that only you can do. Like, what's your personal brand? Think about what's personal brand today? What is your brand? Are you known for being this great execution machine? And what do you want your brand to be? Like, how do you, if I want to target my next position internally or in a different company, what do you want your brand to be? And maybe my brand is a strategic thinker, like she knows how to build a marketing strategy and demonstrate success in turning around a product line. Well, if that's kind of the brand you want to be known for, you really need to proactively and methodically building towards it. Like, if you want to be known as somebody who's strategic rather than tactical, what does it really all mean, right? So you want to think long-term rather than short-term, right? You want to think cross-functionally rather than just single-threaded. So those are the kind of things you want to think about and be methodical and start searching for the projects that can truly help you build that brand. And for you to change your brand or to evolve towards a new brand, people are saying you got to do it 7 times. When you do it 7 times, people start to think, oh, this person is strategic, because he or she has been doing this kind of project for a long time, many examples to prove it. So that's really, in a nutshell, what I had. Something, the personal experience that I had last year in, looking for a job when I'm still relatively happy in a company, and how did I get there, and some of the learning and lessons I learned from all of that. So that's really what I had prepared for, and I think I'm open to answer questions now.
You guys can either unmute yourself or put the question in the chat, but feel free to just speak up.
Can you talk a little bit more about your people plan?
Yes. So I think, see if the link works. So the people plan, yeah, so this is probably one template I think is in the link here, is Keith Ferrazzi, that the relationship action planning. So the one, he actually built it there are certain ways, target individuals who are critical for your team. This is more from a team management point. I think it's, for you from a career standpoint, it's a personal relationship you can adapt to your personal goals here. And how do you, prioritize this relationship and find clearly what you do for those individuals? So this part is pretty important, is when let's just say you identify the VP of engineering to be someone on your people plan. I'm sure, that person is very busy, right? And it's really it's important for you to think with or brainstorm with your manager or get creative in terms of, hey, I want to lead a project that involves something pretty important for the VP of engineering, that you can go above and beyond your current scope and do something extra just to demonstrate to him that you are strategic, you're knowledgeable, all the good qualities that you want to demonstrate. And then you build a timeline, for that, and measurement and timeline for that is you want to say like, build that connection and be able to, seek feedback, really demonstrate like you are able to contribute to his success, right, on the engineering side. So that's something I think it's pretty important. If you want to make that part of your career development, make sure your manager is on board and endorse this. And many times your manager, if he's a good manager or she is a good manager, might be able to help you bridge, to the right individual and give you the kind of project that will get you closer, to the people on your people plan.
Thank you.
Sure.
So this is Sam. What would you say is like your most, like obviously, have you been in a situation where maybe you can't get on a project with that person, but what do you think is an effective way to make an approach so that it, again, it comes off more sincere rather than, I need to use you for something?
Yeah, I think sometimes I really think being sincere and just be helpful is always a good quality to have, right? So what I was sharing with you guys is something like you can plan for, like you plan for reaching out, methodically building that. You want to do that. But in general, my view is when you work at an organization cross-functionally, your day-to-day, you build a brand, whether you are aware of that or not, right? In your day job, like every day we show up to a, we lead the project, and how do we interact with people who disagree with us? Every day, the little things we do every day, they all add up. And I really think if you couldn't really make that leap, like, I want to build this connection with VP of engineering, well, everybody does. It's kind of hard to get. Even in your day job, every time for the people who are within your reach, identify those who may be important to vote for you in your next promotion. So I'm just getting very pragmatic. First of all, when I first started my career, I had no idea like how this whole promotion thing worked. And you'd end up, thinking like you're impressing your manager, that's enough. It's not enough. In most companies, when you want to move up, you want to find out like who's actually in the room. They're very different. I work at different companies, and this promotion process, they're all very different. Some companies are really, the people who have the voting powers are actually your manager and your manager's peers, which is a really interesting dynamic, because imagine like you work for someone, and had a really strong working relationship with your manager, and he may not have the best relationship with all his peers. And sometimes you're in a situation where there are internal politics, right? And how do you handle that? I think I've been just genuinely, be a team player and put what's best for the company ahead of, personal gain many, many times. So when you do that, you actually earn trust beyond some of the political divide. And when you do that often, you'll find it really interesting. I was just gonna say it out loud here. When I advanced in my career, a lot of times really because I didn't just like play within the party line. It's always like try to do what's right for the business. When you do that, you earn the trust from people, even from the other side. So, and in large organizations, the more you do that, people see you as one who can unify, who can solve problems, and you get the support from not only your own camp, but also from other camps, right? Other teams. that actually helped me tremendously. And I just did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. There are times that might not even be smart. You know, I know some people, they play by politics. I'm not against it. If you're good at it, do it. I'm just not very good at it. So I would just choose to be myself. I want to do what's right. And sometimes just, you know, being what's right, you know, doing what's right can carry you pretty far. Even when you are, you know, when you didn't expect it. So I guess that's probably not sure I truly addressed your question. I just, you know, felt like in day to day, when you have the opportunity to really, you know, impress and just do it every single, show up to every meeting as if it's a pretty important interview. So when you do that long enough, and you definitely will, you'll be noticed.
All right, no, thank you. I think that's a good answer.
Thank you.
I guess if there's time for one more question, if you had to give advice to people earlier in their career, what would you tell them to do earlier that could help them be more successful?
What would I tell people do earlier? Is one thing is be a problem solver. That's one of the that I've had is when you work at any company, any place, it's very easy to identify a problem. And now that I'm more advanced in my career, you know, the last thing I want every day is for someone on my team and, you know, have a meeting with me and complaining about things. Oftentimes, you know, sometimes I can help them. Sometimes I don't even know half the things they're talking about. It's when people go to you with a problem, it's always adding more work to you. So for the people who are early in your career, you always, you know, want to think about, don't just be a problem identifier, because it is so easy to identify a problem. Everybody does it. It doesn't make you smart. And it is really hard to become a problem solver, because the problem at any company, the fact it's a problem is because it's difficult to solve, right? What you really want to do is to identify a problem, really think about potential ways to solve it, and then go to your manager like, hey, you know, I think this process is broken, but I think maybe, you know, let's just brainstorm. Can we solve it by this way or that way? And really try to showcase that really you can go solve a problem. Everybody loves problem solver. When you solve the problem, you know, it will just make everybody's life easier. So I see this often is people stare at problem, you know, always go back to blaming the problem. Just be a problem solver. I think that will go very, very far in your career. The other thing that's important is I talk about really this, you know, building a people plan. I think that's pretty important. Is people is very important. Early on in your career, I think what you'll see is what will set you apart is your technical skill. Like your engineer is how do you build things. If you're software, you know, how do you do coding? For me, in marketing, are you a good writer? So those very technical skill will carry you through to the next level, because people measure you on how well you do things. But for you to want to move to the next step, it's like what got you here won't get you there. What got you here is your technical skill. What got you there to become a people manager, right? To become a leader, is other soft skill. Soft skill, you know, in terms of enabling others to be successful. So do it, you know, unselfishly. Like, you know, the more that you can share your knowledge to enable others, your teammates to be successful, your manager will look, you know, will definitely see you as, oh, you know, he actually has that inner, like, sincere desire to make others, you know, successful. And that's the kind of individual they want to promote. They want to put in a leadership position, because you've demonstrated that you're able to do not just the work, but also being an enabler to make others successful. So in your current role, always, demonstrate that. When you learn something, how to do certain things, document it and volunteer. Raise your hand. Hey, boss, in the next staff meeting, I share my project. This is how I did it. This is a template I use. Here's some, really best practice that I came up with, and share that and make that a learning for a know-how others can learn from. The more you do that, the more you will be viewed as someone who has that leadership potential. That will just really be, that will, it's those kind of quality that carry you, that, make you go very far in your career.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Hi, Linda. It's Brian here. My question is simple. If you're going to hire someone today, what are the key factors that you're looking for? Just give me 3.
Well, first of all, I'm in the marketing position, right? So subject matter expertise, right? So you need to be really great at what you do. You need to be able to do the job, right? So that's one. Second one is business acumen, meaning the quality in people who can connect the dots. You certainly are good at, you're a good writer, you can write messaging, but then if you understand messaging, you also understand pricing, you also understand competitor, and you know how to tie the whole thing together. That's what I call business acumen. Always know how your company operates. So one of so I went to University of Michigan, the engineering school. They advised the other day, how do you improve your business acumen? She asked me that question. I gave her the feedback, and she asked me that question. I just said it's very simple. For you to listen to the earnings call of your company every quarter, and then you know how your CEO is thinking about the business, and you know where the company is going. You know your little thing, how does that connect to the big picture? Over time, you will understand whatever you're doing at your desk actually contribute in the big vision that your CEO is painting in front of Wall Street. And if you do that every quarter for just a couple quarters, your business acumen is going to improve dramatically. So business acumen is pretty important. It's hard to teach. It's a subtle thing, but it's something that you certainly want to build over time. So that's the second one, right? Subject matter expertise, business acumen. The third one is creativity, but this is only for a marketing role. For marketing, you definitely want someone who can think outside the box, not just repeating the same pattern over and over. I guess, other positions, if you work in a creative field or some other, field, probably it's a less of a requirement. For marketing, it's certainly pretty important. How would you stand out among the crowd, right? So, I just, tend to look at people's, when I travel, I see people, put different, they buy billboards, right, near the airport, and right now within the airport. You want to evaluate how this is kind of slogan is important. That's just, for example, Zoom, I always really like what they put out there, be happy, right? And then they put it at the airport. I'm not a huge fan for putting, people spending $1,000 in the airport, because it's hard to monetize eyeballs, right? A lot of people come and go at the airport. How would you monetize that with how many, revenue you can generate? But the only exception I gave was to Zoom, because they're in that industry, right? When you use Zoom, you don't have to travel. Like we're using here, we don't need to travel. So they put it there like meet happy. Instead of the hassle of going to the airport and all of that, you could, use Zoom and you can see each other without all of the pain. So it's a meet happy. I think it's just such a clever way in terms of messaging, in terms of where they place their ad. And so I'm a huge fan for that. So I'm looking for creativity in the individual, in not only in marketing, but in solving a problem as well. So those are my 3 things. know your business, subject matter expertise, more like the functional skill, business acumen, you know where the business is going, and 3 is creativity or problem solving in some other function.
Thank you, Linda.
I have a question. So you were mentioning about like going to events and networking with people and use these opportunities to advance your career. And unfortunately, we don't know when we'll be able to do it again, right? Because of the current situation. Yeah. So do you have any advice for us to continue networking during this time? I feel like I've been trying to connect people through LinkedIn, but I think that people are so like over in terms of like scheduling other Zoom calls, like that's what you do your whole day, right? So you don't have these opportunities to just chill and meet people. So if you have any advice for that.
Yeah, it's a tough year. So haven't really have a magic answer here. I think it's really start with the people that you already know. You know, the other day I got this LinkedIn message from someone, because usually when people ping you, they need something from you, right? And this individual, he pinged me when he doesn't need anything. He basically said, I just want to reach out to see if you're okay. Like, you know, in this kind of environment, why don't you do this? Why don't you just go to LinkedIn for people like you know well and people you don't know all that well? Just someone, you know, ping them, hey, just checking in to see like you really are doing fine. You know, I think it really warmed my heart because every day I got pinged by so many people looking for, hey, are you hiring? You know, do you have this? Can you help me on this? So that's the only person who reached out who doesn't need anything from me, and that's just it's heartwarming, right? So why don't you do that, right? Rather than I try to like, you know, ask for help in this kind of environment, just share like you're caring, you care about others, right? So that may be something you do. The other thing I noticed people, this is one of the tips I got when I was younger, was sometimes you just, you know, lock yourself in a room and spend half a day writing endorsement on people that you know on LinkedIn. Without them asking. You just, you know, look at, oh, I'm connected with 500 people, you know, so-and-so I worked with, and I really enjoyed, you know, working with him. Just volunteer, you know, to write some good stuff about this individual you worked with. And just, you know, show, like, do things for other people before, like, you actually need to ask for a favor. And you gradually build a lot of, you know, strong connection. In particular, in this kind of environment, you cannot really go out anywhere.
That's great. Thank you. We have time for one more question. So.
I have a question. So Linda, I'm thinking about your people plan, and I'm thinking about when you kind of step into a new position. So in your role, how do you kind of approach the people plan, looking at maybe like the first 3 months as the sort of, you know, you're getting used to the role. So you're meeting people obviously who are attached to the projects that you're working on, but how do you kind of approach it from, let's say like 3 months, 6 months, and kind of dividing it out and conquering it?
Yeah, I would think depending on your role, right? For me, is when I joined AWS, really the first step for me is to building trust with my own team. So, you know, it's not always easy to just join a team and be a leader and leading a team of people who've been there longer than you. And AWS has a very unique way of doing things you may or may not, you know, heard about. It's very peculiar in the way they run their business. So for me, really the first 3 months was really, number one, building that trust with the people on my team, and also the key stakeholders, right? So, you know, for the things that who will have a say. At the end of the year, I just say people evaluate me at the end of the year. who would my manager go to ask, how's Linda doing? I need to know, like, you know, that's very obvious. Like whoever has that vote, whoever has that input into my performance evaluation, they're on my people plan first. So just, you know, be pretty methodical early on is the people who really have that, you know, the key stakeholder is always important, and your own team is always very important for people, you know, if you're relatively new to your position.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, I think that we're close to time here. So Linda, thank you. That was a great presentation. I think that thanks for everyone who are also asking very good questions. I think very good discussion. I feel that I learned a lot. I need to build my people plan in a more structured way. So I learned a lot. I'll take a lot from this. Thanks for everyone who joined today. There's a survey in the chat window. So please provide your feedback. If you want to just send us an email saying like what type of events you'd like to see, if it's a career event or any type of event that you think would be fun for the alumni community, or any type of initiative that you think we should be working on, we are here open. We want to hear from you. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.